Good evening. Welcome, welcome to a Man in the Sea of Lies. Welcome back. Um, just going through this stuff about knives. I went through so many knives. I love to cook. I'm in the kitchen all the time, slicing and dicing, and I want to do it right. Of course, I'm not gonna spend $1,000 on a kitchen knife or something like that. But I'm looking for you know, couple of $100, something like that. I think it's reasonable. There's stuff, but that's not what I wanted to talk about today. Well, I made a short video about that my current knives and stuff like that. So I'm searching right now. So I'll get back to you on that. What I want to talk about today is that Trump derangement syndrome is reaching new heights in Canada. We are kind of incapable of detaching ourselves from our hatred towards the Americans and specifically towards Donald Trump. I've said this many times before, but to an observer like me, it's so obvious. Canadians don't see it that way, though. However, they don't. You know, it's to most people. It's not just politicians, and it's not just the media. But regular people I meet every day. I meet dozens of strangers in my work every single day, and it's kind of ingrained. It's like a natural thing. Like everybody just giggles. You mention Donald Trump, or somebody mentions Donald Trump, and people just giggle. Oh yeah, that asshole. Yeah, sure. So there's that. So this is so the 90% of the media people and 99% of our politicians, including conservative ones, um, continue to to use the same songbook for this kind of rhetoric, right? And well, there are some smaller media outlets and smaller observers that kind of see it, but kind of skirt the issue. Like they don't see why this occurs. They just don't see it. They realize it's happening. They see what it's doing, and they see uh, uh, how it affects the our political debate, but then they skirt the issue because they don't see why we're doing this, because this is what Canadians want, right? We hate Donald Trump in particular, and the Americans so much that for politicians and the media it's just easy fodder, right? They sometimes they use disclaimers initially. They say, well, I'm not prejudiced. It's bullshit. They all behave the same way. you know I'm not saying that. I'm not in the camp of Donald Trump, not a mega kind of guy. I like the counter revolution that he's created, but I'm not a fanatic or anything like that. But the thing is, with this what's happening is that we kind of losing the sight of what's happening, right? We don't see the forest for the trees anymore. And then this kind of rhetoric, instead of dissecting our political and economical situation in Canada, we can't. It's like a vice grip of that's holding us, to this obsession, and it becomes a modus operandi for us to behave politically that way, and then everybody falls into that trap. Like I said, including conservative politicians like Poliever and Rob Ford, or Doug Ford. Sorry, rest in peace, Rob. So part of the problem here is, to be honest, absolutely, is the problem is that we filtering it through a special emotional political filter that's prevalent in Canada. And this is the influence of, we sort of feminizing our society. We've been doing this for decades now, we emasculating men. So the whole political narrative has become sort of like a emotional filter now, right? And nobody really dissects anything according to facts and statistics and stuff like that. We are all just, it's all just one knee-jerk reaction after another. So, like I said, it's done because it's easy political capital to score, right? If you're a politician, it's easy fodder. You just come out, you say, "Well, shit, Donald Trump this and Donald Trump that," and you vote. Your political future is secured, right? Because it's a consensual kind of thing for Canadians now, right? And we don't even stop to think that, I said it many times before, but we don't even stop to think that Donald Trump is going to go away, right? And who knows? Next president could be the kind of president like Barack Obama was, or Bill Clinton, which Canadians just loved, right? Because we loved our democratic presidency in the United States, and we feel that we're entitled to an opinion about American politics. But God forbid, Americans express their own opinion about Canadian politics. That sparks an instant outrage. Right? So it's just an ongoing thing, But when you look at facts, like for example, this Donald Trump stance during the last federal election in Canada clearly won Carney his election, right? Elbows up and all that stuff. Canadians tend to rally behind stuff like that, right? Because we're so insecure. We feel so threatened by the Americans, like deep down inside. I think we still like them, but it's kind of political posturing that's become the norm now in Canada. That showing disregard and disrespect for United States of America or Donald Trump is a thing to do. It's the Canadian way. I disagree with that premise altogether. I think it's crazy. It really is going to hurt us at the end, And this looking for new alliances with China and elsewhere. I mean, 3/4 of our exports go to the United States. We're so tight together. Rebuilding the whole economy to avoid that kind of stuff is going to take a couple of decades. It's a crazy idea. It's not even crazy. It's freaking stupid. But, we do it. Carney won. It was almost, 10 years of Justin Trudeau before him. And by the end of it, it seemed like maybe Canadians have had enough of Liberal government. But we tend to vote like that. We punish our politicians rather than reward them for their actions. But Carney managed to turn this ship around easily with this anti-American, anti-Trump rhetoric. And now, of course, they're saying this is no time for politics. We have to do this and do that. No time for politics, really? I mean, it's more than ever. We're doubling down on the same freaking stories over and over and over again. So this kind of thing normally would set off a sort of a revolution. It did before in history in many places around the world. But the problem we have here in Canada is there's nobody to lead there's no one to lead the opposition properly. Poilievre is not equipped to fight that kind of monster that Canadian politics have become. He just isn't. There's nothing wrong with the man per se. He's a fine man, you know. Family man, I don't think he lies all that much. You know, this is kind of interesting. Every time when I meet with friends and stuff like that, and I say that I just don't lie, they look at me like I'm freaking, I don't know, like I'm an alien, right? Uh, Whichever number of passenger for Nostrum, they can't believe. How can you not lie? Well, you know, of course, you on the street with strangers, you tell white lies sometimes, but generally speaking, I don't. You know, or I try not to, or I make it a principle of mine not to. Anyway, the bottom line here, on this for me is that we don't have an alternative like Polyev, never mind the NDP or anything like that. You know, we don't have a alternative. Nobody can sell us any new ideas. You know, even Polyev gets caught in this narrative, anti-American narrative. You know, unjust tariffs. I mentioned this before. Unjust tariffs and all that stuff like that. I don't know why. It, the media, you know, the hell with them. You know, the hell with the media. They're doing nothing. They're doing absolutely nothing. You know, and the closer they are ideologically towards the CBC, you know, but people have warned about this before when they started giving money. Justin Trudeau starting giving money to the media, people will warn, you know, this is not the way to go for political, you know, for politicians to get involved with the, you know, with the media. But it seems lately in the Western world we do it all the time. You know, I see it in Britain, Germany, Poland, for example, where I come from. So as I like to say lately, this is crazy stuff, and it's not gonna lead us anywhere. You know, and I mentioned this once before. You know, I think we're so obsessed with this, so obsessed that we'd rather suffer the consequences of bad economic policy, or as I put it in different words, that we'd rather watch our children go hungry and remain, you know, oblivious to reality and our proximity to the United States of America and economic issues, right? So we were willing to sacrifice the wealth of our nation for a short-term political posturing. This is what we're doing. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable.